That and like Blockbuster, they always had like nostalgic fun moments, you know? But now that's all gone and it's subscriptions like Netflix and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Alright, well, hello again. Welcome to another review. I'm Mark here with John. And so we just got done watching the movie Stealth from 2005. I'm still processing it, honestly.
Okay, well, I know you make fun of me interrupting you a lot, Mark, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to hijack this review because I have a lot to say about this movie.
I kind of figured you were going to have a lot to say. The way you talked about it made it seem like this movie did a lot to you.
Okay, just for some context, when I was a kid, I loved aircraft, specifically military aircraft, but dabbled in some civilian stuff too. I even had a flying lesson where I did one flight in a glider, one flight in a Cessna 180. Like, I got to that point and I would watch all the aircraft documentaries and I would get books on them and stuff. And of course I watched a bunch of airplane movies too, like Fly Boys with James Franco. Remember Fly Boys?
I actually liked that movie.
And Red Tails, directed by George Lucas. And the original Top Gun and the new Top Gun, which just came out. And the new Top Gun, since that movie came out, and just to diversify the types of bad movies we watch on the show, I thought, hey, why not watch Stealth? Because I remember seeing trailers for it when it came out. I remember seeing the big cardboard cutout poster thing in the movie theater for it, and I'm like, hey, I want to see that. And my mom's like, no, we're not going to see that. We're going to see Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith for the third time.
I mean, I would have chose Revenge of the Sith over this any day, to be quite honest. So I think that was a good option. But I looking at it now, I can definitely see like this movie feels like it took from all those movies and just kind of mashed it up into this like.
This movie was like Roland Emmerich and Michael Bay, all their 90s movies kind of mushed together. All the same tropes.
Yeah, I feel like Michael Bay jerks off to this movie, to be quite honest. The amount of explosions and how they would do like 10 different angles of the same explosion just shoved into like a few seconds.
And the big blimp explosion, Michael Bay gets off to that too.
Oh, the ring and everything. Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Like, the effects in this movie are mostly good.
Yeah.
Mostly, because there are a few here and there that are kind of but for the most part, like, there were some really good effects. There were some really cool transitions as well. There was that one where like it was, you know, in the sea and then it fades up to like be the ground. Like, that was a really cool transition. Yeah. Like, it was definitely a movie that was made well. Like, it wasn't like a poorly put together movie like Velocipaster or Sea Ape.
This was a real Hollywood movie. And to its credit, the CGI holds up remarkably well, especially by 2005 standards.
Yeah.
You can tell they had production value. They filmed on the real USS Abraham Lincoln, which is commendable. And, but the story and the script is where it all falls apart. And for context, before we go any further, this movie had a $135 million budget and only made $79 million at the box office. When a movie with that big a budget bombs that hard, you know it's bad.
Yeah, the dialogue especially in this movie is just awful. Like, it's I gotta pee-pee.
I gotta go pee-pee. And they make a callback to it.
Of all the things to make a callback to, that was like the worst thing they could have chose.
Yeah.
Like that was awful.
Because I didn't see it in the theater, but I did pick it up on DVD sometime later, and this is the DVD I have with the original Hollywood video receipt still inside. And
that's pretty dope, honestly.
And even back then, I still remember this movie being very dumb. I remember the first I Want to Go Pee Pee, but I forgot that Jessica Biel's character made a callback to it later in Thailand. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Thailand. I want to go pee pee.
The very pointless Thailand scene. I remember like the moment they went to Thailand, I was just like, why are they here again? And then we just see Jessica Biel and what was the other guy's name?
Jamie Foxx. Lucas.
Josh Lucas. Yeah, like they were just chilling in like swimsuits, and it's like, what's this got to do with the story again? And I mean, Jamie Foxx was pretty much just Jamie Foxx, quite honestly.
Well, Jamie Foxx was just like the stereotypical black guy. He was the Simon Nelson Cook in their Ned's Declassified group of Ned, Mose, and Cookie.
Yeah, they also killed him too. Like,
yeah, because this movie was made when Jamie Foxx was known, but he wasn't like an A-list celebrity. He wasn't a household name.
He had just recently at that time won an Oscar for the movie Ray, I believe. So that was like when he was just starting to become big.
But when was Ray filmed? Because this movie might have been shot before that movie was shot.
I'm actually not sure. I'm gonna check that now.
And you know what? While you're checking that, I want to check what Josh Lucas has done, because I'm trying to think of what else I know him from, because he sounds familiar, but I can't remember anything else he's been in.
So I know that Ray came out in 2004, so a year before this movie did. Ray is definitely a way better movie by a long shot. When it comes to when it was filmed, I'm not seeing anything on here. I'd assume probably a year prior. But I don't know. I would have much rather watched Ray. But that being said, there was some entertainment to it. It wasn't like a completely terrible, I hate my life experience.
Yeah. Josh Lucas was in American Psycho, A Beautiful Mind, Ford v Ferrari. He has a role in Yellowstone. I didn't know that. So I guess this is like the first leading role he had, maybe.
Yeah. And then there's Jessica Biel, who I don't know what she's doing nowadays. I mean,
I don't think she's the greatest actor. I feel like a lot of stuff she's in isn't very successful. Like the last big movie she was in was the A-Team movie.
Yeah. I remember her in last thing I remember was The Illusionist, which with Edward Norton, which I thought was pretty good. I remember her in that old TV show Seventh Heaven. My parents watched that show a lot. I know he was in I know she was in that Jonathan Taylor Thomas Christmas movie, the I'll Be Home for Christmas, I think it's called.
Oh, that's
if you remember,
an old one.
Yeah, sorry to remind you.
Is that the one where his motivation to get home for Christmas is his dad'll give him a Porsche?
Yes, that one. And then he gets abandoned in the desert dressed like Santa, and it's like glued and stuck to him or whatever. But like I remember her in that, but other than stuff like that, I really don't remember her from anything.
I know her from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake in 2003. One of her rare box office successes.
Ouch. But I mean,
Well, this movie, to get back on track to this movie, I think we just have to go through everything scene by scene, and I'm not an expert by any means on anything aircraft or military, and I don't claim to be, but even with my cursory knowledge, there's a lot wrong here. We start with this scene that's presented to be a real mission, but then we find out it's a training scene very quickly. But they shoot real missiles at the planes, like real SAMs at the planes that they have to avoid. Like, if this was a training mission, they would just shoot virtual missiles. And
pretty sure there were moments where, like, there were people on turrets.
Yeah,
too.
there were people on the turrets too.
So I guess they were just part of the training. They were willing to die.
I don't know.
And then it shows all these random blue mannequins in a cave.
Yeah, that's when you know it's the training mission.
Yeah, that was I was interesting. And then I'm like, wait, what? But then they introduced this new fourth person that's going to be part of their team, which turns out to be an AI plane named Eddie.
Yeah. Well, before we get to Eddie, I have to explain the planes that our main trio is flying, the Talons, which they make no sense because they have variable geometry wings, which, by the way, variable geometry wings is a Cold War relic. You don't see it on modern designs anymore. Like, it was basically just made for planes in the, like, 60s and 70s, like the MiG-23, the F-14, the F-111, to have optimal, like, you know what? I actually brought visual aids for the sake of this review. So, I don't know if you all can see this, but this is a little MiG-27 I have. And basically, the wings can move extended out like that or pushed back for speed, and then when it comes time for landing or say slower flying, they extend out like that for better low speed flying and better stability on takeoff and landing and whatnot, and like a lower takeoff and landing speed. But then you have a more modern design like this F-15, which has kind of a compromise sweep angle to the wings, which gives it optimal low and high speed performance, because like this design, it's very heavy, very complicated. But the thing that really throws me off about the Talons in the movie is their variable geometry wings don't swing forward. I'm going to try to find a white
forward
space
to
on the
back.
wall. Yeah, they don't swing back like this. They swing forward, which means the trailing edge of the wing extended becomes the leading edge retracted, and they don't have aeroelastic wings like Eddie, which means the trailing edge of the wing becomes the leading edge, which makes no sense aerodynamically. Like, and I don't know what kind of fly-by-wire nonsense they can get away with to make that work. But if a real plane had that, it would just fall out of the sky. It wouldn't generate any lift.
Yeah, this movie's filled with stuff like that, where it's just like minor details that like make no sense at all. I mean, when they were flying earlier, a little bit more earlier in the movie, in their second mission after the whole Thailand, and when, you know, the token black character dies, because apparently that was a necessity in the early 2000s.
It's been a necessity for a while.
I mean, yeah, but I feel like it was really highlighted during that time. But after that, Eddie goes and flies off and says, I'm gonna go and nuke Russia.
He gets struck by lightning, and that triggers that need within him because it breaks his firewall, and because he's a learning robot, he observes Ganon disobey orders by bombing the building in Rangoon, and then he hears the admiral go, Eddie's the whole idea, so he gets an ego about it too. So,
and then later on, he sees how compassionate the guy is, and it's like, well, we're gonna be compassionate now. Like, just does a complete 180.
Yeah, and then he sacrifices himself to save Gannon and Wade, and it plays the sad, epic music like we're supposed to feel sorry for it. No, I'm glad that thing is dead. That thing was a travesty and a international security concern. I'm glad it's dead.
That and well, it's actually not dead because there's somehow an end credit scene that sequel baits.
Oh yeah, because they thought they would get a sequel, even though that'll never happen because 78 people went to see this movie in the theater.
Yeah, apparently. And just even if I did care for Eddie, which I mean the movie almost made it impossible to, because of just how dangerous he was.
Yeah.
It was just so there's so many deaths in this movie that are just so anticlimactic. The only death that was actually somewhat done right was Henry's, Jamie Foxx's character. That was the one where you actually kind of were oh no,
yeah,
come on, you can't do that. Everything else, the leader who basically screwed everybody over and then decides oh well, now I'm caught, so I'm just gonna off myself. That was insanely unsatisfying.
Yeah.
The mute, the one Korean that chases after Jessica Biel for the second half of the movie.
He was built up to be the silent badass character, and you said he's often the same way.
Bane of the Dark
Knight Rises.
That upset me a lot too, because Bane was actually really cool in that movie just for that. And it's the same deal. They build him up to be this cool character just for we're done. Okay, cool. And but the whole movie is just filled with minor details that just when you really sit back and think about it, it makes no sense. I mean, the planes you were talking about, how after Henry's death, Jessica Biel somehow ends up in North Korea, even though they were just in on the other side of India.
I want to know what their flight path was, because they bomb Rangoon first, and then they go back to the carrier. So they're presumably somewhere in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah.
So they fly north to Tajikistan to bomb a target there, but then Wade flies east all the way across China and bails out over North Korea. And first of all, this American military pilot decided to fly over the most vehemently isolationist and anti-capitalist nation on Earth.
I mean, yeah.
and when she had to bail out, she bails out, she's falling, and then the plane circles back around and blows up over her and is flying, making debris fly down. But it's a cool action set piece.
It reminded me of Armageddon.
Yeah,
quite honestly.
More Michael Bay influence there. But that plane should have just continued flying forward. It should have been a mile away and just exploded over there, and she shouldn't have.
But instead, it's I'm gonna follow her because why not? And then again, we said, it had this Armageddon moment, which there are so many moments that feel like they're clearly just trying to rip off other movies. That scene, the amount of Top Gun scenes, there were moments that felt like Independence Day. Almost.
Oh yeah, the canyon scene.
Yeah, all the canyon, it felt like Independence Day. The one explosion at the end reminded me of Apocalypse Now.
Oh, the tree line.
Yeah, it was, and you're just what? It almost feels like they're just taking all these parts from all these movies and we're just gonna make a very bland, airplane movie with AI that just learns shit.
Yeah, the characters are all very bland.
Yeah.
And since you brought up the canyon scene again, that reminds me of what I wanted to talk to you about with that canyon scene. So I saw Top Gun Maverick. You didn't. I won't spoil anything. But pretty much, I thought it was pretty good, and it's been getting really good reviews. Like, it's not perfect. There's some dumb stuff in it, but overall, it's a good movie. And basically, the general mission of Top Gun Maverick is they have to fly through this canyon and bomb a very specific, hard to reach target by flying through that canyon, and they successfully build tension in that movie because they spend a lot of time hyping up how difficult and dangerous this mission is, and they plot out the exact course of this canyon and fly it over and over and over, and they for the most of their training they're unable to do it, and it makes you think, oh no, are they actually going to be able to pull this off? Because like they successfully show just how difficult it is. Like Maverick can do it, of course, because he's Maverick, but he has to train everyone else to be able to do it too. And when the actual mission happens, like, it's very matter of fact presented in, like, there's no music for a majority of it. You're just in the space mentally with these pilots, and you're just so sucked into the moment there. But here, Eddie dives down into this canyon, and Henry follows him, and this random canyon, they have no idea where they are, and they're just zigzagging through this canyon like it's nothing.
Yeah, that, and I mean, you mentioned the part where they like hardly played any music.
And I'm not done yet. I don't pretend to be an expert on dogfighting tactics or anything, but you got your enemy aircraft here, and you have the advantage when you're behind and or above the enemy aircraft. Now, if the enemy aircraft decides to dive down and zigzag through a canyon, you don't zigzag through the canyon with them. You stay high and you follow them from up high so you don't crash into a wall like Henry does. And in fact, if it wasn't a UCAV they had to destroy, and if it was like an actual enemy pilot, I'd say just let that guy go. If someone was that crazy to do that, they deserve to live another day.
Yeah, that, and there was a move that Eddie made where like he was in front and then he like did like a spin around or something.
Like one of those.
Yeah, and you mentioned that they did that exact same move in Top Gun Maverick, and you think Maverick maybe...
I would be shocked if they stole that from this movie. I don't think they would want to steal anything from this movie.
I would be shocked too, but I guess nowadays it's possible. But what I was the thing I was mentioning before, you were saying that like at that end part in Maverick when like there was like no music played to kind of build up tension. Yeah, no, here they just blast every like post-grunge rock song you can think of, like at like just the most random moments, because apparently this AI machine like tech that like is just this expert at, I mean, you know, flying, really likes rock music.
Yeah. Post-grunge, specifically, like 2000s butt rock.
It wasn't even like bands anyone would care about too. What was the like, we thought it was Fuel, I think, because I mean that would have at least made sense because it was trying to get fuel, but it was something, I don't even remember the name, but it wasn't
Incubus. It was the Burn Baby Burn song, like fuel burns and he launches the missile into the hangar door and it explodes. Burn Baby Burn. subtle.
It was a band called Institute.
Oh yeah, it was the letter I. We were close enough.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't even. The song was like called "Bulletproof Skin," which I don't like. I feel like I recognize that song a little bit, but Institute, I couldn't even tell you like anything else by them. I know nothing.
No.
That and there was that moment where the Fray played, and you were just like, "Oh no!"
I don't like the Fray. Every song I've heard from them, like I think the vocals are whiny, and I don't like the like piano rock they do. I don't know. I just don't like them. And I heard that song, and I'm like, ugh.
I will say their song "How to Save a Life" was, back when it was popular, it was pretty overplayed.
My favorite song was "Dance to the Music."
That was pretty funny.
No,
Jamie Foxx is just
no
like,
pictures, please. All right, take them.
sitting there, like flip flops and like the.
No one should wear long pants and flip flops. It's not a good look on anyone.
And like he's just, they just made him such a stereotype, and it was pretty like.
Yeah. Again, this was before he was an A-list celebrity, and he probably just took the role because it was a big movie. Well, not that big, because again, only 78 people saw it in the theater.
That and like, I mean, I do feel like because the guy who made the movie,
Rob Cohen.
Yes, Rob Cohen. He's actually like, this was literally his. This movie was pretty much the start of his downfall, I guess you could say. Because before this, he made some decent movies. He made the original Fast and Furious movie.
I like that
which
movie.
is a good movie. He made that Vin Diesel movie Triple X, which is
moral is don't be a dick.
Yeah. And then another one he made was the movie Dragonheart with Dennis Quaid and Sean Connery, which I actually liked that movie. It's not a perfect movie, but I enjoyed that one.
I haven't seen that.
I think it's really good. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember loving the movie a lot. But then this movie came out. I actually read on IMDb that when he made that this movie just like ruined him, because when he made Fast and Furious, people would always recognize him and be like, "Hey, how you doing? Hey, you're the guy who made the." But the moment Stealth came out, people wouldn't even like look at him, and I guess I can see why. And since then, he's made there was the
Hurricane Heist.
Yeah, the Hurricane Heist, and another one I saw
Alex
was
Cross.
with Tyler Perry.
Yeah, that was Alex Cross.
Oh God, and I do not like Tyler Perry. I just but he one that I noticed was The Boy Next Door with Jennifer Lopez, I think.
I never saw that.
I don't. I saw the trailer for it in theaters back when it came out, and I remember thinking that it seemed somewhat interesting, like it could have been like a hidden gem per se, but I heard absolutely nothing good about it. The only positive thing that I heard was that Jennifer Lopez is hot.
Oh yeah,
and that
I think you told me about that before the Geely video.
I mean, I guess we could say the same thing about Geely. I mean, granted, I don't think that movie's as bad as a lot of people say it is. It's not good, but
yeah, it wasn't as bad as I expected.
Yeah, that was. I mean, this as well. Like, I mean, this movie, it definitely wasn't like. There's definitely better movie. Like Top Gun Maverick would have been a much better. Like the original Top Gun would have been better.
The original Top Gun is better than this, but not by a whole lot. Just because I think the original Top Gun's kind of boring, and it's basically just an excuse to have footage of fighter planes flying around before the internet and that type of stuff was easily accessible. So it at the time, I understand why it might have been big, but now I think it's dated really poorly.
You think the new one is a lot better, though?
Oh yeah, I think the new one's a lot better.
That's a plus at least. But yeah, so I guess to wrap it up though, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you say for stealth?
Wait, before we get to that, Wade in North Korea, she is injured in the crash and she gets shot and presumably bleeds out a lot, but she still makes it 12.2 miles to the DMZ, and everyone shoots at her, they miss, she shoots everyone.
Even though, like, they have spotlights, like, right in her eyes.
And Gannon, inside Eddie, bombs North Korea, which would start World War III, and before that, they cross into the Russian border and get intercepted by flankers and shoot the flankers down. Even though their planes are Mach 5 capable, they should have done what the real-life MiG-25 does, which is the fastest fighter plane in the world, at least until the MiG-31 came along. Just gun it and outrun everything, because it's a Mach 3 plane. If trouble's coming, they just floor it and outrun everything, because nothing can catch them. And they should have done that, but no, he started World War III with Russia too by destroying 3 of their airplanes, and no court-martial, no arrest, no death penalty. He's just on the boat at Eddie's funeral and walking around, hanging out with Wade on the aft deck, and
just tell me you love me, you pussy.
Yeah, and I think that's the end of all the big dumb stuff. Yeah, but anyways, as far as ratings go, 3 out of 10. Funniest comedy I've ever seen.
3 out of 10?
Yeah.
Fair enough. I was actually very, very conflicted on where I was gonna put it. Part of me wanted to say, like, at first, part of me was thinking like a 5, but that definitely started to go down as the movie went on.
It gets dumber as it goes.
Yeah, because for a while, it wasn't. I was sitting there, I'm like, all right, it's not great, but I mean, then it just gets dumb. But in the end, I'd probably give it a pretty strong 4 out of 10. I think there is some enjoyability in it. I think there are some good moments. I think there's some good qualities, but overall, the writing is, I think, really what screws this movie up.
Yeah, because it has great production value. It has really good CGI that, for the most part, holds up really well.
With the exception of the fire in that one shot.
Yeah, how was the fire the worst CGI in the movie?
Yeah.
But the dialogue is terrible. The story is stupid with lots of holes and dumb stuff. And in addition to that, another negative is there's just a lot of unsatisfying payoffs in it, like the admiral guy, I guess the closest thing the villain has to a movie. His motivation is very unclear, and I've seen the movie several times over the course of my life, and I still don't know, like, what his motivation is supposed to be. Is it money? Is it political power? Like, I don't know. And like, all the people, like the North Korean badass who gets offed in the same way Bane does, and just, yeah, a lot of unsatisfying moments like that.
Yeah, it's just...
Those drag it down for me too.
Yeah.
I forget if I did my empty subscriber rant before.
Because I don't remember. The last one you did was Subscribble the Nibbles.
Yeah, because I did dislike, and then I did... I don't know what I did, but I'll do something.
Thank you guys for watching. Is there anything special you want to do this time, though? Anything you can think of? If
you like this video, video and wish to share it, leaving a like helps, leaving a comment helps more, subscribing helps the most.
Yes.
And don't be an empty subscriber. If you're gonna subscribe, you better watch all of Mark's videos here. And I'm guilty of this too. I'm probably subscribed to about 200 YouTube channels, of which I only regularly watch maybe 40 or so. But, you know, it's the thought that counts.
That is true, fair enough. Yeah, like he said, if you like this video, be sure to stick around for more, because we got plenty more coming up. We got a bunch of ideas, right?
Yeah.
Alright, well, on that note, see you in the next one.
I gotta go pee-pee.